But it
It's
doesn't
not?
do that, no. And I'm not sure what it is. It was working previously and then it just stopped, so.
Well, you may need to get out of that, go back into something, maybe you changed something just now. And if you're in a job and you change something and it's not doing it, sometimes you need to get out of that and go back in and start a new file or whatever, because it needs to probably convert it. I don't know why it does that, but I mean, sometimes you have to do it that way. Yeah.
I also have it in my dictionary entries. I just don't know if I never learned this in theory or if this is someone else's theory. But if it's 63, but you don't want to come back, it uses you would press 36 with an EU and it flips it. You learn that? It's in my dictionary and I don't remember learning it. Did you learn that, or is it some?
Guys, I think that's kissing Barry. I don't know.
Okay.
I really
Okay,
think
where
it
did
is.
it come from?
And somebody was telling me about that too. And
Flipping it.
oh man, you guys, my brain doesn't work that way.
'Cause I'd be like.
I
it's
hear
the
it as
opposite.
36, I write it as 36. I hear it as 63, I write it as 63. I don't use
What's the
toggle.
opposite of this? By then I've lost it.
Yeah. I mean, that's
So it's
just,
not
that's
extended?
confusing to me, so I don't use it, okay? All right. Miles an hour, if you do miles an hour,
Mine's Merc.
yeah. And I think what it does, I think what the bracket does, it just keeps it together. You know, so if you do 63 miles and it's at the end of the sentence and, you know, it goes back an hour, then I think that's what it's doing there. Okay, hyphen, we had talked about this last week. You know, if you do the hyphen and you hear it and you can stroke it, then this is the way that it needs to be defined. Okay? Bracket, number sign, numeral, bracket, bracket, hyphen, bracket, bracket, number sign, numeral, bracket. Holy cow with that, okay?
That's the one I need to set up because when I converted my dictionary, I lost the hyphen ability.
Yeah,
Can you give me like 2 seconds?
yeah.
I was afraid if I did this on my own that I would mess it up somehow. I'm very wary with my dictionary.
That's good.
See, I don't like the options that it gives you because it's either or with this thing.
With what?
For example, I'm still stuck on time because time is where I'm having an issue as far as setting up.
It's
my
still not
command.
coming out?
Well, it is, but it depends on what you select under time. Do you want it 9:00 a.m.? Do you want it 9 a.m.? Do you want it 9:00 a.m.? Do you want it 9:00
Well, let me tell you one thing. You don't choose it. When you choose it in the job, it only does it for the job.
Right.
So you have to do it outside. So you have to be at the main screen and then go into your user settings and then it'll change it for, but if you go into the job, usually it's only going to change it for the job. Okay? So you have to be careful with that. Sometimes it will, sometimes I don't know. I mean, you know, and that's what I've found.
Well, that's why it's not coming up for me when I say 7 in the morning. When you say 7 in the morning, it should come out 7:00 as when you hit the asterisk T for the command for time. But because of the way I selected the format for my time, it's only coming out 7 in the morning because I have it under 9 a.m. without the :00. So it's leaving the number for time as just the single number. It doesn't have the colons after it when I hit
So
the.
then you're doing it wrong.
How am I doing it wrong?
You just said you selected the 9
Right.
a.m. That's the
Okay.
wrong one. You want the 9:00, so select that one.
Well, that's what I'm saying, it doesn't give me, can you please, for my sanity, enter it before I throw my machine? Okay.
Get out of that job. Get out of the job. the job,
Yeah, everything.
everything. Go back to the main. Right there. Now change it there.
Okay.
That's not the way you want it. You just told me that wasn't the way you wanted it. You wanted 9:00. Is that correct?
When I write, yes, when I write 7, for example, 7 in the morning, when I do 7 asterisk T.
You're never gonna want it like that, are you? Are you ever gonna want it like that?
When they say 9 a.m.,
Yeah.
would it always be like this?
I would, that's the way I hear it. That's the way it's supposed to be. I never hear 9, just AM.
Okay.
I always do it because they're talking about time. Bingo. Amazing.
This first one, or the one we're about to do the
Yeah.
first, is one that I have problems with.
What's that?
I can never, I guess I need to change it because I have the word first. I don't have anywhere in my dictionary the second option, the one ST.
Well, see, and that's what it's telling you right there. Will convert to first depending on your settings in your ordinals.
So I
Okay.
need to change all of my word first in my dictionary to
1ST?
yes.
Well, it all depends. Because if they say May 1st,
Mhm.
then you want it 1ST. You don't want it May 1st.
Yeah.
You want it May 1ST. So, I mean, that's how I do it differently, is with the E. I do it 1E, 2E, 3E, 4E. Makes it in the ordinal, and it knows that it's a number because I use the number bar.
See, I need a different way to do it because the E for me makes it double, like 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99.
So how do you make it an ordinal?
I write first or like second, third, I write it out.
So
and
if
then
they say May 1st, how do you write that? F-I-R-S-T?
Normally, because I do one and then I try and do like the asterisk S and it doesn't come out. And then like the second, I'll do like 2 and then.
Well then, if you want the asterisk S, then all you need to do is convert it. And it'll know. Or you can do 1S, 2S, 3S. You can do it in one stroke.
I need to find something that's not already defined as something else.
And that might be cents. So you have to be careful with the person who gave you the dictionary that they didn't do 1S as cents, which is what I do.
What do you do for your first, second?
I do asterisk E for my ordinal, so I'll write 1 and then I come back with an asterisk E and it'll turn
And a
into
second
first.
stroke?
Yeah, for me, because it's easier for me that way. Because I write my numbers out.
You just need to figure out something that works for you. It's not that big of a deal.
I know,
Okay.
I just didn't.
And if you need to come back 1 asterisk S, then do it. If that's the way you hear it, you're gonna have to mess with it a little bit. Okay? But you're gonna have to find a way that it's different. Because when they say May 1st, you definitely don't want it coming out like that. Okay? I mean, they'll know what you're talking about, but it's just not gonna look as good when you know that you mean May 1 ST. Okay? And that's what it's talking about right here. When you do May 1st. Not needed, because it knows following a month. So you have to do your months differently. Okay? So supposedly, I guess, I mean, I didn't even know this, that it's going to convert it. It's telling you it's not needed. So if you write May 1st, May 2nd, May 3rd, but you have to write May different, then you write the word MAY. He may go. You have to write it different. But they're saying that when you write it with the number, that it's going to know. May 1st, May 2nd, May 3rd. No?
It's coming out as May 3rd, THIRD, May 2nd.
Then it's something in your ordinals. You need to go in your user settings.
I don't have ordinals, I've looked. I don't have first, ST, second, ND, 30, RD. I don't have them. I don't
In
know
your
what-
user settings. And go under ordinals.
No, which makes me want to stop.
Relax, relax. It's not that big of a deal. We'll figure it out. Yeah, try it. I got 1 through 10. Yeah.
Oh.
But you need to get out of that, go into the main, and see what you have in your main. It may just be that way for that job.
All right. Perhaps so this is break his numbers, right, slowly, so I don't.
This might be a stupid question. 21, 22, 23, 24. There's no hyphens, right? Or is there?
I'm going. And I'll do May.
Do June. Because do you write May differently?
May
You write the
and May.
month differently
Just
than
May.
MAY?
I do asterisk
Okay.
for the month of May.
All right.
And I'll say June 2nd. And normally I just know on a test that I just go back in and I write it.
No, it should be-
But if I were to
should
look
be
in my
part-
dictionary for any of these, like, let's see. I don't have them.
Okay,
So I
we'll get
just-
out of that.
Where? Out of here?
Yeah. Go back to the main screen. And go into your user settings. Well, you're gonna need to get out of the job, because if you go
Oh,
into
this
the
is
job,
the
it's not gonna
dictionary.
convert it. Okay. And go into numbers and just do no values.
For ordinals?
Yeah. Here's the date. Okay, that's not it. Get out of that, go back.
This is the thing that I can't figure out what is wrong.
Well, you're just gonna have to mess with it, I mean, because I don't even know, it's saying that if you write it that way, that it should come out.
I looked over it on the weekend and
Get out of that, go to the main screen.
I'm sorry, Diana.
No,
Go to
no, I'm
ordinals.
fixing my dictionary.
It just doesn't come up.
And go to, open that.
Here?
Yeah. And do all values. In June.
No, sorry.
June 2nd. Here's the date. we'll have to mess with it a little bit.
Alright, so
But the
this
way-
is not me, I thought,
But the way that it's, it's telling you right here, is that it should automatically convert it. So if you do May 1st, Eclipse knows numbers immediately following months, required digits, or digits with ordinal endings.
should I call Eclipse tomorrow and just see?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not understanding, in most instances, Eclipse automatic number conversion should allow you to write numbers as you hear them with proper conversion according. However, sometimes you'll need to give the system some extra help. Okay, maybe that's what they're talking about right here. A forced space stroke is often handy to separate two adjacent numbers. For example, if you write 227-inch strips, does that mean 227-inch strips or 227-inch strips? Oh, they're talking about something different. No, you'll need to ask him on that one,
Okay.
on ordinals.
I'm making a note.
Yeah. Okay, and we went over this last week too. And this is the way that you define your strokes for certain things that you want done, okay? So if you want numbers written out, that's the way you do it, okay? So if for some reason, you know that the word needs to be written out and you write it with the number, then that's the way you convert it. That's the way that it needs to be defined. This is just an example of the stroke that you need to use. You can use whatever stroke you want, but this is the way you define it, okay? W means written out, G means generic digits, T for time, O for ordinal, T for time also, but this is if you're using it with the same stroke. So they're using one U right here as a time. And if you do, then you have to write the number and then do it with the stroke, okay? But if you don't, then you don't have to worry about it. Roman numerals, same way. So if you write it in one stroke, then you have to write the number with the definition that you use, okay? Same thing for date conversion, okay? I do date with an asterisk, and it does my date conversion. You know what? That may be what you need to do. On your 1,000, remember you may need to do it differently when you're doing the date.
Okay.
And do your date differently. So instead of THOU, then do it with the Z, or if you do it with the Z, then do it with an S when you want the date.
Alright, I have to change that.
And then, that's the way you need to define it. Okay? That you're gonna force digits and it's gonna put it together. Okay?
Okay. You have to write 1,000 and G, or you just do the G in braces?
You just do the G in braces, is the way that they have it here. See?
Okay.
Well, maybe it is. I guess it is 1,000. And then the bracket, yes. And that's gonna force it to mean it's the 1,000 without the comma, okay?
Right. Yep.
Doing it? Perfect. Good. Okay, and this is just a little exercise that you can do to what we've already gone over. So if you write 3, how's it gonna be done? No answer needed. It's already done, okay? 100 the same way, yards. It kinda gives you the answer right there too. So here's another little exercise of what would you do here? How would you define it? You write $50,000. How would you define that?
I do $50,000.
Okay.
I'll put 50 in its own.
Well, let's just say that you did it like this. How would you define that?
Because it doesn't pertain to.
Have you been here at all for the hour and 15 minutes?
Yes, but that's confusing to me. If I don't write it that way, I'm not gonna care, but I'm not,
Okay.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't pertain.
and I understand
to me.
that, I understand that.
I don't wanna confuse
That's how
myself
I
even
do
more.
$1,000, so
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would do 50 on its own.
So you wouldn't do anything with this, correct?
That's its own
That's
thing.
its own stroke.
And then you would define that as 1,000 word and then dollars, separate word.
Yeah, that's
With or
correct.
without the, once you do the brace, but I don't know if it necessarily.
That's correct. You don't need to do the brace. That's optional. And you want to keep it simple, so. All right.
With Eclipse, 2 basic steps will give you excellent number translation. Fine-tune your dictionary and fine-tune your number settings. Pure number bar strokes aren't even necessary in your dictionary. Other numbers building blocks will be defined as words, not digits. 100, 1,000, million describe orders of magnitude. Write the word dollars when you hear it, not before, and it, like other money words, will trigger number conversion with the appropriate currency symbol. If a number doesn't translate right, it's probably because of an old dictionary entry. Remove such entries and you're building.
Guys, we already went over this. I think what they're doing is they're just going over it again. And it's the same one that we went over.